This meeting is being recorded.
Sorry about that. Good morning, and there we are. Here we are at Olive. We've got a few kinks out of the system, but we started recording now. Welcome to Academic English with IELTS on the side. And as I've said before, introduce yourself at the chat if you have not. Use the same name all the time. Try to be on time, but don't worry. And do ask me to repeat or slow down and use the raise the hand to do that. Please keep your microphone muted except when answering or asking a question. So if you haven't unmuted your microphone yet, go right ahead and say hello. So if you haven't unmuted, can you unmute your microphone and say hello so we can all hear what it sounds like?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
Fantastic. Really good. Okay. So sometimes I will want you to jump in, but I also want you to, after you've raised your hand and I call on you, please turn your microphone on and answer. Excellent. So, but if we keep them off most of the time, that'll keep the background noise down to a minimum. All right. So there we are. Let's get back to that screen share and see what we've got to talk about next. That's all the, I think that's most of the housekeeping. Now, what are we going to be learning this through these next weeks? I have found that the best way to move forward to build your English is through a structural understanding of grammar. We'll be focusing on core sentences, and that is the basic setup of a sentence, and then adding information to that basic sentence. That means if you are worried that your vocabulary is too small, there is no problem. With this method, if whatever the size of your vocabulary, that you will still be building the structure of your English. And I'll also be giving you lots of resources and some practice here too to build our vocabularies. All right. But all of this is going to be around a strong structural base. If you have an enormous vocabulary, yay. But to communicate most clearly in English with that vocabulary, a strong structure is essential. Okay, you must have a strong structure. And there's a lot of interesting reasons for that because of the way English is. Because we don't have genders for nouns, we have to have everything in the right place. So we know what it is, what we are talking about. From this core sentence understanding, from this very structured place, we will be able to create structured paragraphs, which will build into structured essays. And and then you're off. Go write your master's dissertation or your undergraduate thesis, and you will be in the right place and the right way to do it. Right. So our schedule will be, today we're going to be looking at resources and some of the tools that we're going to be using. And we're going to do some work on verbs. You'll find I'm very big on verbs. Next week, we'll be looking further at sentence structure, building sentences, adding information to them, and specifically starting to build the grammar that we need with prepositions of time and place. So we're going to start, you'll see, because we'll start on this later. We'll start adding things in. So after that, we'll be looking at comparisons, cause and effect and conditionals, language of data, analyzing charts, graphs, and using the passive voice. All of these things that are essential for academic work. If you are working towards an IELTS, if you are preparing for it, this is the language you will need and the grammar that you will need for that exam. All right. In the second half of the class, we will start looking at paragraph structures, how to keep them focused. What does it mean to have a focused paragraph, a clear and focused paragraphs? And then work on the specific grammar that comes with things like solving problems or giving examples and evidence. And then we'll start building those paragraphs into essays and look at how we do that and keep everything focused. The end, you will be able to write more clearly in English than you did before, whatever your level of vocabulary. Right. So every morning we will do hello and questions. It's been a little longer than usual this time, but that's getting the kinks out of the system. And then we will do a listening exercise, some additional grammar practice. And then in the second half of the class, we will talk about, you'll have a chance to share what you've read, because I will be expecting you to read something every week, but that's easier. You'll find that's easier than you think. And then we will do a game or an activity that is that will bring together the grammar and vocabulary and that we've learned at the beginning. And at the end, we will talk about the application of all of these things to the IELTS for those who are preparing for that. Okay. Right, let's get on with the resources. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Are there any questions at this point? Good. Okay. So, I think let's put this out. Okay. So, on the resources, the first and most important is called News in Levels. And where's my other one? Oh, there it is. There we go. News in Levels is a fantastic website. It gives you news stories in 3 different levels. If you are using a machine with Microsoft, using Microsoft Edge is actually really helpful because there is a wonderful feature. Wait, there's a wonderful feature. There we are. Called. Where is it? Why do things escape me at the last minute? No. Stop that. Okay. I will show you that later because this is being difficult. Okay. The wonderful thing about news and levels is the ability is that they give you essentially an overview of English grammar and the development of English grammar. So each of these, as you see, if I get back, each of these, as you see, are individual news articles. Very short, very useful. All right. So you can, and there's thousands of them. They are very, very brief. Let's look at Mitzi the cat for a second. You see that there are 3 levels here. Level 1 is short sentences. So our core sentence, as I'm going to call them later, short core sentences in the present tense. Level 2 gives you compound sentences, so multiple ideas together in one sentence. And level 3 gives you basic standard English sentences. Level 2 has the past tense as well, and level 3 has all of the tenses. So it becomes complex and compound sentences. So let's look at Mitzi the cat and see what we've got. So if you see, the sentences are very, very short, right? So if we read this, so Mitzi is a cat. She lives at a station in Israel. She lies around the station. She watches people. She sits on ticket gates. Right? Too easy for some? Or just about right for some? This is where we start in English. This is where you started as a child in your first language. We all start with simple sentences. And there are always vocabulary words available here. I hope you can see them. Right? And the ideas and the sentences are very simple. If we go to level 2, you see that the first 3 sentences are actually combined. Mitzi is a cat who lives at a train station near Tel Aviv, Israel. Right? So they put 3 of those sentences into one. Reading this is important to start at the beginning, to go through and read all 3 levels, because what you will see is the progression of English grammar. Now, I don't want you to be
Excuse me, can we please, I raised my hand, but you didn't see it. Can we please move to another lesson? Because we are talking about a country that kills people. Can we talk about another country? Thank you.
Okay. Can we, all right. I'm sorry. Right. I'm very sorry, and I will try and filter that more carefully in the future. Can we look at one more, and then we'll be done with this, just to look at the grammar? Is that okay? Right. So I'll have to filter them more carefully, but it's It's hard. Okay. Sure, let's look at pizza. Hopefully that's it.
Yes, please. I like pizza.
Okay, good. Fine. Right. So once again, here we have another story. There we go. So we have simple sentences again. We have 400 chefs in Buenos Aires. And what have they done? They've come together. They want to set a new world record. It is the record for the most pizzas made in 12 hours. So once again, we've got our simple sentences, right? There we go. And we go to level 2. 400 chefs in Buenos Aires, Argentina's teamed up to make pizzas together. So slightly more complicated. All right. I'm sorry about all of the distractions of the ads around there, but hopefully that's not too distracting. And they wanted to beat the world record for the most pizzas made in 12 hours. Now we're using the past tense as well. All right. So if you read the first one, and then you read this one, and then you read the last one, 400 chefs in Buenos Aires teamed up to beat the world record for pizzas made in 12 hours. There we go. We've got all of that information from the first 3 sentences into one sentence. Now, I will ask you to do some things with these to pick them apart. But focusing on the grammar itself is not the point. When you were a child and you said, I want a biscuit, and your mother said, not right now. Actually, you didn't start there. You started with want biscuit, right? And you adult, not right now. Want, but I want a biscuit. And then gradually you build the language out. Mummy, I know it's close to dinner, but I'm very hungry and I would like a biscuit now. All right. You start small and build. You didn't get to that larger sentence by your mother teaching you the grammar rules. You got there through experiencing, listening, reading the language as it developed, from the stories that you heard, from the books that you read, and from the things that were said to you. Your grammar grew. Reading through these 3 levels can give you the experience in the back of your mind. It can give you the experience of developing language. So what I want you to do is focus on the story. What are they talking about? And read it because it's interesting. And if you focus on the story and your interest in the story, then the grammar will come. All right, it will grow. And so there are words for this in pedagogy. This is called an environmental way of learning. It's extrinsic versus intrinsic learning. And this gives you information that's going to go into the deep reaches of your brain. All right, there's things that are in the front of our working knowledge and our working memory, and there's things that are in deep storage. And the wonderful thing is, as we experience language, more goes into the deep layered understanding. We learn more than we're aware of. All right, so by using a site like News and Levels, you will be backloading all of that grammar that without having to study it. All right, it will come, I promise. And all of my students who work with it, their grammar and vocabulary increase dramatically. So, yeah, let's go back to screen. And I think we're going to have to. Okay. So the next resource I want to show you is called Padlet. Has anyone ever used Padlet? Where is it? Oh, no, we don't have anything on there. Should be on here. So here we go. This is Padlet. And using that link, you'll be able to come to this page, and I will give you assignments. There will always be an assignment every week of an article. And oh, didn't work. Why have I got that? Sorry, I put the link in wrong. So there will be an article and there will be questions. So why didn't that work? I need to edit that one. Yeah. So what I really wanted to do was use, tell you what, we'll go with the, oh no, I remember which one I was going to use. So this one. So when you go to the Padlet, you'll be able to, there we go. There we go. You'll be able to go to the article that I've linked, and then underneath you can write your own answers to the questions that I've left. So this one's asking you to answer the questions who, where, what, when, and how, with just 1 or 2 words. What we're going to do is work our way towards writing a 1-sentence summary for the article. All right, but this time we want to say who and give an answer. And then if you press publish, your answers will be there. Okay, so when you come to Padlet, all right, and the link that I've given you will get you there. I'm going to send you these slides as a PDF, so you'll have all of this information at the end of the class. All right, and you'll be able to come here and do the assignments. So we need to look at the article and see if we can answer who was involved in the story, where did it take place, what happened, when did it happen, and how was it done? All right. So hopefully that is clear. Right. Now we're going to go back to, there we are. Put that down for now. Being messy. So there we go. And the next resource. So the next resource is my favorite dictionary, the Cambridge Learner's Dictionary. Now, when you have looked up a word in the dictionary, has anyone ever had the problem that the definition was harder to understand than the word itself?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's very hard to use an English language dictionary to look a word up. It should be easy. Cambridge Learner's Dictionary is specifically for that purpose. So the definition will always be easier to understand than the word itself. And if you try and look up, get up, she couldn't get up because she hadn't gone to bed early enough. She couldn't get up. If you look up the word get, will you understand what that sentence means? You can type an answer if you want to answer, or you can in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or just answer out loud if you want. So get up is a phrasal verb. And phrasal verbs are very bad because you can't look them up in dictionaries. If you're looking in your translating dictionary, it won't work. If you look in a regular dictionary, it also won't work. But in the Cambridge Learners Dictionary, we can type in get up and we get an answer. So there we go, get up. And so it can mean to stand up, and it will also, yeah. But even if we look on the front page, this wonderful bend over backwards. Perhaps you've read something that said they were required to bend over backwards to please the celebrity, to get them everything they wanted. It's an idiom, and the Learner's Dictionary has idioms in it, right? So we now know that bend over backwards means to try extremely hard to help or please someone. Once again, catch up on, that's another phrasal verb. So very important to be able to look those up. And if we look up a single word, it's wonderful because we can
accountant,
listen to the pronunciation as well. All right.
Accountant.
In both
accountant,
UK and US pronunciation. And this is wonderful because we read so many words that we don't necessarily hear someone using. And I love it actually when someone mispronounces a word, because I know that they have learned that word from reading. And it means they're working super hard on their vocabulary, and that's wonderful. So never be embarrassed if you mispronounce something, because it means you're working hard on your vocabulary. If you want to make sure that you have the right pronunciation, this dictionary will help you as well. Okay, so let's go back to, there we go. Right. So those are the three most important for this class at this point. Other resources that we need will be, yes, BBC Learning English. The BBC has absolutely fantastic resources, again, for expanding your language and building your grammar. Let's see, did I put them on here? I did. Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. There we go. So the main site is this, BBC Learning English. Loads of videos. You can actually sign on to a complete course if you want to follow a program. It's completely free, entirely online. There are resources for grammar. There are resources for pronunciation and vocabulary. And I always love the news as well. Right. My favorites and the ones that you will see most often are, actually, go back to English in a Minute is one of my favorite places. And these are 1-minute sessions discussing bits of grammar and small pieces of and vocabulary. So we will be looking at those, having one of those every morning, just to get us started. So yeah, and there's little quizzes at the bottom just to make sure that you've understood what you're working on. And there we go, back to our main page. So the 6-minute English, these are also very, very good. They've got stories, again, about important things. Now, if you are studying for the IELTS, these are incredibly important, all right? Because what you need is a broad vocabulary to make it through the IELTS. You need to be able to talk about a lot of different subjects, not with specialist language, but with general language. So an article on climate change is going to expand your vocabulary and make it more possible for you to answer the questions on the IELTS exam and to talk about, express yourself on whatever subject they give you. All right, so if you are given a reading piece that is on an environmental subject, because you've watched this video and learned this vocabulary and grammar about climate change, you will recognize lots of the words and collocations, groups of words that we use together on that topic and on other related topics. So best way to expand your vocabulary is by reading or watching something that is interesting to you. So there we go. Oh, Radio 4 clips. BBC Sounds is free. It's an app. You can put it on your phone and use it anywhere. And there are short clips and long programs. One of my greatest inspirations, so a woman who came to the UK with no English, children and dependent partner, and I asked her how she did it because her English is so good, and she also has a doctorate now in English, probably English University. And she said she started out by listening to Radio 4. So I highly recommend these things really do work. So let me find this up. You see Sounds, and yeah, it's easy to find. Radio 4 is fantastic. And there's lots of stories to listen to. I'm going to stop this before.
Aid to dial down your
Yep, there we go. And then my favorite of all is, oops, there we go. Found by typing in intelligent time wasting. And this is that clip, the link that I've got there, Radio 4 in 4. And these are short stories that you can listen to from various Radio 4 programs. And you'll see they're all quite short. So between, 4 minutes and 9 minutes. I think some are even shorter. And it's a chance to listen and focus on new vocabulary and grammar. If you're studying for the IELTS, choose a subject you've never read or listened to before, and it will build your vocabulary faster than ever. So hopefully all of these things will give you ways to keep building your English. There's also the British Council Learn English site, if you haven't found that as well. It's there are free, there's a paid program on here and they constantly refer to it, but there's loads of free materials here as well, and I highly recommend it. So, phew, I think that's all the resources. So again, you will have all of this as a PDF and you will be able to connect to these links that way. So this will all be there. So we've talked about the structure of the class. We've talked about how we're going to manage working with each other in the class. We've talked about lots of things. Let's talk about what we're going to, let's start looking at how and what we're going to learn. The structure of English sentences. This is going to be the biggest part of what we work on. If you have a huge vocabulary, often your first language grammar will come in and confuse your sentences and make it hard to get everything into the right place. If you are building your vocabulary from the beginning, you need to know where to put the words, how to put the words together that you've got. And this is where we're going to be focusing on the core sentence. Now, what do you see? What are the three parts of an English sentence? He knows what the three parts of the most
Subject, verb, object.
exactly. Now, why is the verb at the bottom of this stack of blocks?
It's
Because
always to the bottom of the sentence, the verb.
Is the hold in the sentence?
It holds the whole thing together.
The heart of the
It
sentence.
is, absolutely. It's the center.
Can I explain? Subject means he, she, and verbs is like we can use verbs like in past simple, participle form. It's different. An object is then everything you can put it to make it together.
It's the other way you can say it is who did what. Okay, subject, who did, verb is did,
Yes.
and object is what was done, what.
Yeah. Exactly, subject plus verbs and plus objects, we can make a sentence, we can make a question, we can make a negative sentence.
So ultimately, it all starts with who did what, subject, verb, and object. What, can anyone tell me, what is the simplest, what is the shortest sentence? Can anyone make a one, is it possible to make a one-word sentence?
Yeah, excuse me, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking the program with my wife Zara, and then we in the same room, and then so we want to send off from one phone. Is that okay? We want to listen to it from one place.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine. No worries. All right. So, who did what? This is our core sentence. This is what we're going to, if you remember from the news and levels that we looked at, the sentences were very simple. The first one started with 3-word sentences, right? Who did what? There's a reason that the verb is at the very bottom of this stack. Did you know that you can write a sentence with one word in English? Can you think of a one-word sentence in English?
Where is the teacher for this English class?
Teacher, can I say something? Because who did what means someone did something and what he did, or to use a subject, he
Yes.
or she and what he did. But I can understand this.
So why is stop a complete sentence?
Full understand. I can understand what they need. When if somebody says stop, that means stop doing this. What-
Exactly.
Mm.
Because it's in the imperative, which is, it's because it's an order, right? Because it's an order, there are two silent things going on. There's the subject is silent.
Say she's going to school.
And the object is silent as well.
Can we say the one word sentence like move?
Yes. Exactly. So in
Okay.
that tense, you can make a one-word sentence because the subject is silent. The subject always, in the imperative, the subject is always you, the listener, whoever's hearing that order. And the object is always whatever you're doing. With move, it would be you and out of the way, or some object, right?
Yeah, and we can
Okay.
say the word go as well.
Yes, exactly. So anything that you can do as a one-word order, that's a complete sentence. But the only
Yeah, like watch, listen, see.
watch, look, duck.
Yeah,
All the verbs can be used as one sentence.
Yes,
like quiet,
but ooh, no, quit.
quiet, like be quiet.
Oh, quiet. Yes, yes, quiet. You be quiet.
Yeah.
Go.
Say again.
Go. We can use the verb go.
Go.
Where- Yes.
Yep, exactly. Go. It's a
What
good.
about sit?
Yes, sit. That is also you sit down. Exactly. So what do all of these single word sentences have in common? What is that word? What part of speech is that word?
Imperative.
Yes. Is it a noun?
Yeah.
Verb.
No, it's
It's a verb,
it's a
exactly.
verb, imperative verb.
Exactly. So what do we need to watch out for in our sentences? What do we need to make sure that we have in every single sentence?
Verb.
Exactly. Exactly. So the focus of an English sentence is always going to be the verb. Now, there's another thing that happens, which is there are ways that we can make a verb inactive. In stop, the active verb is very clear. It's a very active verb, isn't it? But sometimes we can put something in front of that verb or next to that verb, which will make it inactive. So if I wrote, I need a page to write on, don't I? Let's, since I'm doing it this way, I'm just gonna say. There we go. So we've got stop. Nope. And we know that we've got our verbs. So if I write if you stop, is that a sentence?
No,
Yes.
not complete. Is it a phrase or clause? No.
What has happened to the word stop? It's a very active verb normally, yes?
Yeah.
What has
If-
happened?
It doesn't have a noun. It's starting with if.
It's put it into a phrase.
Mm.
It's put it into a clause. And that's what we have to watch out for in our sentences. That depending on how we write the sentence, if we put one of these words that takes away the action from the verb, then we need to make sure that we've got another verb that's doing the action.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be watching out for that. And if we watch out for that, and if we always know, oops, sorry, I meant to go down one. If we always know exactly where our verb is, the active verb that's holding up the whole show, right? Then we can build all of the extra information. The why, the where, the how, the when. Like with the pizza story, they put all of that information into that one sentence, but they knew where the verb was. And that's the key. So, let's see. How are we doing? Oh, bit more. So I was going to use a whiteboard, but I think let's take a look at that, at the story about pizzas. Find, there we go. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start by looking for verbs. So we're looking for active verbs, verbs that are doing something.
Yes. The first verbs with the come,
Yes.
want,
And yes, very good.
made,
Set.
made,
Let's hit someone.
and
Set.
third made. I think
Made.
made and sit.
Ooh,
I'm not sure if the sit is verbs, but
and set a new world record.
and
Set is a verb.
It is a verb. Is it the active verb though?
it is the record. I don't know record.
If we read this across here,
And sit and as well and want. They want to sit a new word record.
so to set is what they want. It's the answer to what, isn't it?
In
So
this situation, want is a helping verb. To sit is the main verb, is a verb infinitive.
yes,
Yes.
I believe want is working as an auxiliary verb. Want
Yes.
to.
exactly. Exactly.
And it's more verbs in this text.
This one's a little more complicated than unfortunately than some of them.
Is the verb.
Not the one I was planning on using. So level 2. So as you see, we're looking for, most of them are simple verbs.
Yeah.
So in the next sentence, oh no, this one is more complicated. Yeah, usually they have them very, very, very clear. Sorry about the cat. I'd have to find an. Yeah, this one is simpler. Okay. So, unless we want to read more about the pizzas, but unfortunately the grammar in that one was slightly more complicated on the first one.
Yes, the hidden
Uh,
verbs.
But, okay, but we do see what I mean, that we could take out to set and it would still, they want a new world record would still make sense.
Yeah.
The action, the actual action is the word want. You can take to set away and it still makes sense. If you take want away, they to set doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still trying to focus on that verb that holds the sentence together. All right. So that's our focus, is look at the verb that is holding the whole sentence together. If we can identify that verb, we've got a good sentence. If we're not sure where it is, then we need to rework our sentence. All right. So if we go, then, yeah. So how about this one? Can we find the verbs in this one? Where did they put the verbs?
Which verbs?
Bake,
In the second paragraph or first paragraph?
Teamed up.
Make. To make. Temp.
Yeah, that's interesting. Teamed up to make. So once again,
Wanted to beat.
yep, wanted to beat.
Yes, and me. Maybe.
Yeah, this story has all of these compound verbs in it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of compound verbs. Oh, here's a good one. So the next sentence
They use.
is simple. Yep.
you,
Used is our verb, right? And
bake,
used. Yes, but what's happened with baked? What has happened with baked? Why is baked?
Which
is
they are.
Yeah. So what is that doing?
They make a like a stick.
What is it
Just
telling us
minute.
about?
is happened already.
What is it describing?
Pizza.
It's bake 60 minutes.
Pizzas.
So these are ovens which baked 6 pizzas a minute.
Describe the oven. The oven which baked.
Exactly. Can everyone see that?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So the active verb that is holding this sentence together is the word.
Which
They also used 14 industrial-sized ovens which baked 6 pizzas a minute.
Okay.
Where is the verb in the active verb in this sentence?
used.
That's
Used
the
to.
one. Exactly.
Used.
Exactly.
Use, because this verb is changing in past simple. Use.
Exactly.
This verb used and then ed. Used.
Yes. Exactly. Really good. Really good. So hopefully you'll see that these articles are really fun and that or interesting. And so let's see what they do with all of this information in level 3. Okay. So here we are, 400 chefs in Buenos Aires teamed up to beat the world record for
It's a
pizzas
team,
made
team.
in 12 hours. That's a lot of information in one sentence. So how did they do it? Where is the
Team.
main verb?
Teamed up should be
Teamed up.
Teamed up. Why did they team up? To
to
beat the
beat
world
to
record.
beat the world record.
Exactly. Which world record?
For baking pizza in 12 hours.
Exactly. So good. We've got all of these extra pieces of information, and they're all in nice clauses. Okay. But we still know where our primary verb is. Our core. So our core sentence is chefs teamed up to beat the world record.
Yes.
Right? That would be our core sentence. And then everything else is additional information. We've got the preposition of in Buenos Aires, answer to the question, where did they team up? We have why did they team up to beat the world record? What world record are they trying to beat? The world record for pizzas.
Okay.
So we have our basic sentence, and then we add all of this information by putting it in clauses, never losing track of that active verb. And this works, as you see, with simple sentences
Yeah.
and simple vocabulary in level 1. And it works with complex sentences in level 3.
Yeah.
Everything in between. So, there we go. Let's see. Right. Any questions so far? I know this may seem very simple for some of you, but it's a way of changing your focus.
It is good, it's good. However, maybe most of us know this, but it's good. Yeah, it's a good reminder because like I studied English like maybe more than 20 or 25 years ago.
Yes,
It's a very good reminder for me.
good.
Like I studied Advanced 3 in Afghanistan in 1997.
Okay.
Yeah, which is ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right. So let me. Right. So any questions at this point? Anything anybody wants to add?
Yeah. Not from my side.
Okay. So, let's see. All right, we've got everything working. So, great. Let's go to and I'm going to stop the recording so that we can just collaborate on things for a bit now. Hopefully that'll work out. And